What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our college football channel. Yesterday, we gave you the 10 most excited fan bases for the upcoming college football season. Now I'm going to give you the 10 least excited fan bases. Of course, there's always a flip side to these top 10 lists. And, you know, every college football fan base, I think, is excited. I mean, you never really go into an offseason dreading the next season. You're always excited. But these are the 10 programs or fan bases that I think are just the least excited. They're maybe not overly optimistic for this upcoming season. And we're going to go through here and give you the top 10, starting with number 10. That's TCU. TCU, you know, it wasn't that long ago. This team was in the Big 12 championship. And since then, they've really just kind of not been that great. And you look at the Big 12, Oklahoma staying at the top. Iowa State has now risen. Texas has a new coach, and they have a lot of excitement. Oklahoma State has stayed kind of in that top group. So TCU's kind of just been left out in the Big 12. And when you look to this season, there's not really reason to be overly optimistic. I mean, TCU should be pretty good, maybe a top 25 team. But getting back to that level of competing for a Big 12 championship, it just doesn't seem like they're anywhere near that. And I don't really see it happening anytime soon. So I think TCU fans just not all that excited with where they are right now heading into this season. And maybe they'll prove me wrong. Maybe they will wind up being a team that contends for a Big 12 championship. Number 9 is BYU. BYU was 11-1 last year. It was a great year. They were in the playoff conversation for part of the season. Zach Wilson is gone. They lose a ton of production, really on both sides of the ball. And I think most people expect BYU to really drop off. So you go from that level of being one of the top teams in college football, a top 15 team or whatever. And then you have to come back this year and be back to just an average team probably. I don't think there's a lot of excitement around BYU. And I'm not talking about the overall program and the direction of the program. I'm just talking about specifically 2021. I don't think fans are super excited for this upcoming season. And so that's why I've got them here at number 9. Number 8 is Michigan. Michigan coming off of a 2-4 season. And this seems like it's starting to feel like the majority of Michigan fans are done with Jim Harbaugh. They're ready for him to go. They'd rather just have a bad year this year and let Jim Harbaugh get fired. I mean, that's kind of the feel that I get from all the comments and the reaction to videos and everything. I know there are still some Michigan fans that believe in him. There are some Michigan fans that think that they're going to turn it around and have a really good year, and they like the changes they made to the coaching staff. But I think the majority of fans, again, are just not all that excited for this upcoming season. Don't really expect them to have any chance against Ohio State. And so I think fans are really just not excited for this season if you're a Michigan fan. Number 7 is Nebraska. They were 3-5 last year. You know, there's reason for optimism if you're Nebraska. Defense finally starting to turn the corner. They look pretty good there. Adrian Martinez, can he improve on offense? That'll be a big question. Wan'Dale Robinson transferred out, though. And when you look at Nebraska, a couple of years ago, they were the team that was getting hyped up to win the Big Ten West. Everyone thought they had finally, Scott Frost had gotten this program turned around. They were going to be a competitor in the Big Ten West, and that just didn't happen. Last year it didn't happen, and no one's really talking about Nebraska this year. They're talking about Wisconsin and Iowa. I think Nebraska has potential. Personally, just viewing this team, I wouldn't be surprised at all if this team won the Big Ten West this year. But it's just not that level of excitement that I think we had a couple of years ago. And so I think Nebraska fans, they're hopeful, but really not overly excited for this season, and still maybe thinking that this team or this program is a year or two away. Number 6 is going to be South Carolina, 2-8 last year, enough to get their head coach fired. You look at the team this year and just look at the roster. There's not really any reason to be excited if you're a South Carolina fan. Lost some guys from last year, didn't have a great recruiting class. It's going to take a little time. Again, overall program, maybe you're excited for the future, but for 2021, I think it's going to be a rough year for South Carolina, and I think Gamecock fans really just aren't all that excited. Number 5 is going to be Louisville. Louisville was 4-7 last year. Last year was supposed to be their year. I thought this was a team that was going to be in that top tier of the ACC, might even have a chance to make a run at that ACC championship game, and it just didn't happen. It just did not happen. They finished 4-7 after winning a bunch of close games the year before. They lost a bunch of close games last year. Fans already getting impatient with Scott Satterfield. They're going to lose some of their big-time playmakers. Hawkins is gone. Tutu Atwell is gone. So if you're a Louisville fan, again, just not much reason for optimism this year. They can maybe turn it around. Again, 2 years ago, there really weren't expectations for them. They had a really solid year. So maybe I'm wrong here, but it just doesn't feel like there's a whole lot of excitement for Louisville coming from their fan base. Number 4 is Syracuse. Remember a couple years ago, 3 years ago, whatever it was, this team was pretty good. I mean, they were a top 25 team. It looked like Syracuse had arrived. Dino Babers had gotten this program turned around, and they were going to be, a very respectable team in the ACC. Well, what happened? I have no idea, but they have fallen big time. The last couple of years, they have just been really one of the worst teams in the ACC. Won just one game last season, and I think if you're a Syracuse fan, you got that hope, you got that optimism, and just had it all crushed because, again, they have not been very good as of late, and I don't think there's really any reason to be excited about 2021. Let's go to number 3 now. Arizona 0-5 last season. Remember, they played USC tough in that first game, and then it just didn't go well from there. They got blown out by Arizona State. Kevin Sumlin, I think, has proven that he's just not a very good head coach. Coming from Texas A&M, didn't really get it done there. Hasn't been able to really build any momentum at Arizona. So I just don't see any reason to expect this team to be very good this year. There was some excitement with them not long ago when Khalil Tate was there, and we thought Arizona was going to take that step and start to be a more competitive team in the Pac-12, but it just hasn't happened. And again, there's really just not much reason for optimism this upcoming season. Number 2, we've got Tennessee. Tennessee 3-7 last year, enough to fire their head coach. Also some off-the-field issues. Will we see some consequences from that? It's really don't know about that just yet. This is not a team that's going to go to a bowl game this year anyway, so if they get a one-year bowl ban, not that big of a deal. But it wasn't just losing the head coach. They had a ton of guys leaving the transfer portal as well. I think 20-something players left. The cupboard is pretty bare. They just don't have a ton of talent to work with here at Tennessee with all these guys gone. They've got some young guys, but we'll see what happens. I think it's a mixed reaction as far as the long-term projection here for Tennessee. Some fans are happy with Josh Heupel, some are not, and we'll have to wait and see about that. But for this season, this upcoming season, I think Tennessee fans are really just not very excited and not looking forward to probably a pretty rough year. But at number 1, I think we have a clear winner here, and it's not Tennessee. Number 1 team, it's Kansas. What a disaster Kansas is right now. 0-9 last year. They bring in Les Miles, and there was some excitement. Kansas fans thought that this team was maybe going to start going back to the Tommy Rees days and start being a team in the Big 12 that could compete. I had several people tell me, I think by year 3, Kansas is going to compete for a Big 12 championship, whatever. I never really believed that because, again, it takes a lot to turn a program around like this. And I didn't really think Les Miles was the guy to do that. So now he's gone. Obviously, he's had his issues. So who will be their next head coach? We don't even know. And you look at the roster, they actually don't have much returning production this season. So all of that is just a recipe for another terrible year. They may not beat an FBS team this year. I mean, that's how bad it's going to be for Kansas, potentially. And I think Kansas fans there's just nothing to get excited about. Right when you started to get excited a little bit, after you hire Les Miles, that all gets ripped away. And I think Kansas is clearly at the bottom of the Big 12, maybe the worst Power 5 team in all of college football. I think the fan base from Kansas is probably the least excited for this upcoming 2021 season. So these are my 10 teams. Again, I know some fans from these fan bases are excited. Nebraska, you got some fans that are thinking they're going to have a great year this year. Michigan fans, some of them think they're going to have a great year this year. But just the overall feel that I get from these fan bases, these are the 10 that I think are really just not showing a ton of excitement for this upcoming season. Where did I get it wrong? Who did I leave off? Which fan base did I forget that's maybe just not looking forward to this year? Or maybe you think that I missed one of these because one of these fan bases is actually really excited and I just missed it. Give me your thoughts. Give me a reaction down in the comments below. Thank you for watching this video, and stay tuned for more here on the SG1 Sports College Football Channel.